Art and politics, they've always been mixed up together, right? From way back with ancient carvings all the way to the memes we see today. And we're not just talking about something pretty to hang on a wall. It's so much more. It's like a mirror, a hammer, even a megaphone. It reflects all the power struggles and passions of a society. But that gets you thinking, doesn't it? It's a huge question, and it's what we're going to dig into today. Can one single piece of art, like a painting, a poster, or a statue, actually change the world? Let's see if we can find an answer. Okay, so the main idea here is that political art isn't just for looking at, it has a job to do. Think of it as its own kind of activism. It puts a message out there on a stage, and it reflects our own views right back at us, maybe even challenges us. It's definitely not just passive decoration, it's an active player in the big public debate. So to really wrap our heads around this, we're going to look at a perfect example. There was this landmark exhibition back in 2018 at the Design Museum in London. It was called Hope to Nope, and man, it was powerful. It basically captured a whole decade of crazy political change, all through graphic design. And this exhibition, it covered some of the biggest, most earth-shaking events of this century. We're talking about the shock of the global financial crash, the revolutionary energy of the Arab Spring, and then, of course, the huge populist waves of Brexit and the 2016 Trump election. And through it all, art was right there, capturing it, critiquing it, and getting people fired up. What the exhibition did so well was break down how this all works. It showed that graphic design isn't just a tool, it's an actual agent of change. The whole point was to explore how a visual message, whether it's an old school protest poster or a meme that goes viral, can totally shape what the public thinks and even build a community around an idea. And this leads us to a really important term, artistic activism. This isn't just about making a statement and walking away. No, it's about using visuals to activate people, to get them engaged, to get them talking, and to help spread a real understanding of all the complicated stuff happening in our world. And nowadays, you don't even have to go looking for this stuff, right? The exhibition's curator, Margaret Cubbage, she put it perfectly. She said that because of social media, these messages are everywhere. You can't escape them. They just pop up in your news feed, fighting for your attention with cat videos and everything else. And this whole process has completely changed the game. A designer makes a powerful image or meme, it gets shared on social media, and boom, it can literally travel around the world in a matter of hours, maybe even minutes. The speed and the reach, it's just something we've never seen before. That's why you can think of artists as the touch paper, the thing that lights the fuse. They can react in an instant, taking a super complex idea or this raw emotion and boiling it down into one image that just sparks a huge reaction across society. They basically give a face to what tons of people are already feeling. But here's the thing, sparking that reaction, well, the consequences are wildly different depending on where you live. When you look at the global stage, making protest art can come with a very, very heavy price. Yeah, this kind of art, it almost never stays inside a nice, clean gallery. Its natural home is out in the real world, on the streets, on walls, and all over the internet. I mean, just think of Banksy's stuff on the West Bank wall. The art is literally in the exact place it's commenting on. It doesn't get more direct than that. And the difference in risk is just massive. In most Western countries, you have freedom of speech, so protest art is often celebrated, it's seen as cool. But in more authoritarian places, making that same art is an incredibly brave, dangerous act. It can get you thrown in jail, or, well, worse. This really puts it all into perspective. Look at the US. Shepard Fairey makes the iconic Hope poster for Obama. And what happens? He gets fame and recognition. Now look at Russia. Pussy Riot protests against Putin and they get jail time. In China, Ai Weiwei is critical of the government and he ends up imprisoned and under constant surveillance. It's the same basic act, but the results, they couldn't be more different. Okay, let's zoom in now on a really specific, really recent example. This one happened mostly in the West, but man, it still kicked up a ton of controversy. I'm talking about the art made in response to Donald Trump. And the tone here, it was a universe away from that aspirational hope poster. The tidal wave of art that came out when Trump was on the rise and during his presidency was pretty much all negative. It was satirical, it was critical, and it was almost always really, really unflattering. So one of the first pieces that really blew up online was from an artist named Ilma Gore. Back in 2016, she painted this super provocative nude of Trump and called it "Make America Great Again." It was designed to be confrontational, and boy, did it work. It caused an instant firestorm online. And all that controversy? It actually turned into perceived value. The painting was later valued at a wild £1 million. Now, it hasn't actually sold for that much, but just the fact that it got that valuation says so much about where art, politics, and just plain notoriety all crash into each other. Then things moved from the canvas right out onto the street. An artist collective called In Decline did this kind of guerrilla art project. They secretly put up these life-sized, and again, very unflattering, statues of a naked Trump in public parks in places like New York, LA, and a bunch of other cities. So the statues did not last long at all. City officials removed them pretty quick. But the official response from the New York City Parks Department gave us this absolutely unforgettable, hilarious line. They said they stood, and I quote, firmly against any unpermitted erection in city parks, no matter how small. You just can't make this stuff up. So this all brings us to the big, final question. And it's maybe the most important one. Is this kind of art, this reactive, satirical stuff, is it actually valuable in the long run? Or is it all just temporary hot air? Well, look, if you just measure it by its short-term goals, you could say it's super effective. It is absolutely fantastic at getting people talking. It definitely tries to embarrass a politician. And for people who already dislike the person, it's pretty entertaining, right? But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. The power of this kind of art is tied almost completely to its context, to what's happening right now. You have to know who the person is, you have to know about the controversies for the art to mean anything at all. And that leads to a pretty bold prediction from the source material we looked at. The argument goes like this. Once this political moment is over, once the context is gone, most of these pieces will be worth basically nothing. Not culturally, not financially. They're a product of their time, and their value might just fade away with it. So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Does political art always die when its context disappears? Or can some images be so powerful that they transcend their own moment and speak to people generations from now about what it was like to be alive, right here, right now? Thanks for joining me for this one.